It's Monday, March 23rd. In the headlines, National Water Commission imposes water restrictions as Hermitage Dam levels near critical mark. In business news, small businesses to get free training on government contracts. Regionally, St. Lucia holds fuel prices steady amid global energy volatility. And in sports, Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships begins on Tuesday. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaicans are being advised that as of Monday, March 23, the National Water Commission will be implementing regulatory measures to preserve available supplies. The NWC, in a statement, explains that despite rainfall experienced over the past several days, water levels at the Hermitage Dam continue to decline and are now approaching the critical threshold of 65%. Consequently, regulations will be in place for areas served by the Constant Spring system. Under this regulation schedule, the Constant Spring network has been divided into two areas. Upper Constant Spring, areas located above the Ministry of Justice, and Lower Constant Spring, areas situated below the Ministry of Justice. Water will be provided on a 12-hour alternating schedule as follows. For the Constant Spring upper areas, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Lower areas, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Commission notes that in this initial phase, water management initiatives have been outlined for approximately 133 water supply systems across the island that traditionally show susceptibility to dry and drought conditions. The press release furthers that the Mona Reservoir system continues to be monitored, but remains relatively stable at approximately 85% capacity, and normal operations will be maintained for areas served by this system. Customers in areas supplied by the Constant Spring system are encouraged to note the enclosed regulation schedule and take steps to conserve and manage water responsibly. Customers in areas supplied by the Constant Spring system are encouraged to note the enclosed regulation schedule and to take steps to conserve and manage water use responsibly. The NWC will continue to monitor all systems closely and will provide updates as conditions evolve. The NWC is also encouraging customers to store water for use outside of scheduled supply hours, fix leaks promptly, install water-saving devices, reuse grey water where possible, and most importantly, conserve water at all times. Regional employers are ramping up calls for urgent education reform, warning that Caribbean students must be better prepared for the rapidly changing world of work. At the opening of the 2026 CXC Ministerial Forum in New Kingston, President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Wayne Chen, emphasized the need for stronger collaboration with the Caribbean Examinations Council to close long-standing gaps between education and employment. More details in this report from Denita Rodney.
Speaking at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on Thursday, Mr. Chen said regional employers have, for years, raised concerns that graduates are leaving the formal education system unprepared for the workforce. He noted that while the issue was once driven by high youth unemployment, it has now been compounded by rapid technological shifts, including the rise of artificial intelligence.
Going back for well over a decade, the Caribbean Examinations Council has reached out to the region's employers because there was a concern shared by all that the output of our formal education systems were not ready for the world of work.
Mr. Chen stressed that employers are focused not just on job-ready graduates, but on developing well-rounded citizens.
We are not only concerned about better workers. We are concerned about the whole human, the whole citizen. We're concerned about creating people, citizens, who are not just ready for the world of work, but ready for the world of citizenship, of responsible, productive, creative, self-fulfilling, prosperous, whatever superlative you can put to it, citizen. That is our concern. Because even before we are employers, we are citizens of these countries, Caribbean people, who want our countries to develop in a holistic way.
He urged policymakers to keep pace with ongoing reforms, emphasizing that collaboration is critical for the region's future.
You're going to have some work to do to keep up with us. The Caribbean Examinations Council has been running far ahead of the pack. The employers have long wanted serious reforms to make sure not only that we are ready, but we are ready for the future, that we are adaptable, that we are relevant, because not to do so will cast us into underdevelopment and despair.
Despite the challenges, Mr. Chen says collaboration remains key to building a more resilient and future-ready Caribbean.
I was reminded at a similar forum yesterday morning, and it's not my quote, but somebody said I was the one who quoted it, but it's not my quote. If we want to go fast, we can go alone. But if we want to go far, we go together. We are committed to the spirit of collaboration. We are forerunners in social dialogue and partnership. We can go far, and we are willing to go together.
The 2026 CXC Ministerial Forum brought together regional leaders to examine how education systems can evolve to meet the demands of a changing global economy. For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
March is recognized as Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Colon cancer is the third most common cancer in Jamaica. Senior Medical Officer at the Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas, Dr. Dwight Whittle, says his team has increased opportunities for screening this month.
Screening colonoscopy are for patients without any symptoms, patients who may have a family history of colon cancer. It could be done before, but we're aiming for 40 patients. They are from the parish of St. Thomas, Portland, Kingston, I think one from St. Catherine. But it's really open to anyone.
Colon cancer, or colorectal cancer, refers to cancer that develops in polyps in the inner lining of your colon. It may not cause symptoms like abdominal pain right away. Dr. Whittle's data on the number of diagnoses is concerning.
For colon cancer, on average, we see about 1 to 2 cases of confirmed cancers per month. This is confirmed by biopsy. And, we would have said nationally, though, it is the third common cancer. And so it is very important in the parish. And I think screening will allow the opportunity to prevent persons from developing cancers. Most cases of colon cancer form from precancerous lesions called polyps. They are small growths in the colon. These growths, if left alone, eventually may turn into cancer.
He says early screening can save lives and notes that screening is usually offered by the hospital.
So Princess Margaret does offer a limited colonoscopy service. It's available in the hospital. We do a weekly clinic where patients can come. For persons who need screening, there's no need for a referral. But for other reasons, for colonoscopy or endoscopy, patients can be referred to the institution. But for the screening, patients do not need a referral, and they can attend to the GI clinic on a Tuesday morning at the hospital.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. A long-stalled initiative to direct 20% of public procurement to small enterprises gets a fresh push. 5 years after the government of Jamaica pledged to reserve a fifth of its procurement contracts for small businesses, the promise remains largely unfulfilled. On March 26, the Small Business Association of Jamaica intends to change that. In partnership with the Public Procurement Commission, the SBAJ will host a free training session from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Exim Bank training room in Kingston on Thursday, March 26th, designed to walk small business owners through the often difficult process of registering for and bidding on government contracts. I quote, "We're here to demystify the process," said Garnet Reed, president of the SBAJ. He continues, "Small businesses are the backbone of this economy, and for too long, the procurement system has felt like it was designed for someone else. That changes on March 26th, end quote. Attendance is free and open to the public. Participants will also have the opportunity to receive a complimentary business readiness assessment, a diagnostic tool to help owners determine whether their enterprises are structured to compete for government contracts and what gaps, if any, need to be addressed. The Bank of Jamaica says it will be selling some US $50 million to primary dealers or banks. The central bank also says these banks and cambios must sell this money to members of the productive sector at a price of no more than 20 cents above the buying price. The minimum amount which can be purchased is US $100,000, and the value of the bid submitted by each bank and cambio must not exceed 20% of the amount offered, or US $10 million. For the trading period of March 20, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Tropical Battery Company Limited with 14,520,848 units, or 36.43% of market sales activities. Woodcat International Limited with 10,891,463 units, representing 27.33% of market sales activities. DIGI Financial Services Limited shares with 2,018,047 units, or 5.06% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in distribution, investment, and transportation plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for March 20, 2026, foreign traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling for $158.71 and buying at $156.90. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $4.23 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $111.74 and was bought for $115.97. The British pound saw continued volatility, offering short-term trading opportunities of 68 cents in profits for the bank. The British pound sold for $210.81 and was bought for $211.49. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, this is something different. Menopause is often discussed as a health transition. What's less talked about is how deeply it can affect a woman's financial stability, professional performance, and decision-making capacity. The credit report may not be part of the menopause conversation yet, but it should be. Your credit report quietly becomes one of your most important financial tools during this phase of life, not just as a record, but as a strategic asset. A strong credit profile can unlock access to low-interest funding when cash flow is tight, provide options without liquidating long-term investments, support business continuity if you're an entrepreneur, create breathing room during periods of reduced earning capacity, help you navigate family obligations without financial strain. In other words, your credit report gives you a choice at a time when many women feel like their options are shrinking. In our funded and focused feature, a lot of what you see on social media is designed to sell courses and not build your foundation to get funding. You cannot attract large contracts, access funding, or credibly build a team without compliance. So let's dive into that area of your business life. The goal here is not just to be compliant. The goal is to look compliant at a glance, because procurement officers, loan managers, and serious clients make their first judgment in seconds based on documentation. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, St. Lucia's Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre is expressing concern over the impact of rising tensions between the United States and Iran on global oil markets. He says while crude oil prices remain unpredictable, his administration is closely monitoring the situation to protect the local economy, with plans to keep current price estimates stable amid the ongoing geopolitical uncertainty. HTS News Force tells us more.
Local fuel price projections remain steady for now, even as international markets endure a period of prolonged instability. Widespread anxiety over a potential spike in energy costs has intensified as geopolitical friction between the United States, Israel, and Iran continues to escalate. Addressing the media during Monday pre-cabinet briefing, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre acknowledged the erratic nature of the global market but confirmed his administration's intent to hold the current pricing threshold.
The price of fuel in St. Lucia is still $60. We are looking at the figures. You must realize when I configured my estimates, it was based on the price of fuel still at $16. The truth is, I have not changed the estimates, which I'm going to read next week on Tuesday. I haven't changed the estimates because of the situation, but it's a very worrisome situation. But the price seems to be fluctuating every day. It seems to be high and low, but we are monitoring it. But the finance ministry is working on a what-if situation. But I can tell you that we have to understand that's one other time that we have no control over what's happening abroad.
The Prime Minister also provided a detailed rationale for the government's refusal to lower prices at the pump despite significant public pressure to do so.
So we have to make the necessary adjustments, but as we did in terms of the cost of living, we'll think about it, we'll sit down and we'll plan it like we did with the price of fuel now. You may recall that there was a continuous call to reduce the price of fuel. It was loud and clear, particularly in the time leading up to December the 1st. It was loud and clear. You must have heard it. We took the position at that time that it was not the opportune time. I will not tell you, we knew there was a war. We didn't know that. But we saw it wasn't the opportune time to reduce the price of gas at the gas station, because we wanted to create some fiscal space for other things to happen. This is why in the upcoming estimates, we're going to have a fiscal a primary surplus.
The Prime Minister emphasized that St. Lucia must build fiscal elasticity into its national policies. He argued that the financial cushions are the only way to insulate the local economy from external shocks during this period of global upheaval. The crisis in the Middle East has already sparked a dramatic rally in crude, driving gasoline to its highest valuation since 2023. This instability is further aggravated by shipping delays in the Strait of Hormuz. As a maritime artery for nearly 20% of the world's oil, the current disruption represents one of the most severe interruptions to the global energy supply in modern history. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
Barbadians are being urged to stand in solidarity with the people of Cuba as new humanitarian drive takes shape. The Barbados Cuba Relief Initiative was officially launched over the weekend in Bridgetown, bringing together key organizations and advocates in a coordinated effort to rally national support for communities in Cuba facing ongoing economic and material challenges.
Since January 29th, the President Trump started applying executive order to prohibit it or limited the exportation of oil towards Cuba from third countries. So this is the reinforcement of the U.S. blockade against Cuba that has been imposing for more than 60 years. This is a new attempt to suffocate the Cuban economy.
Barbados have over 150 medical students, most of them all over the world, who would have benefited from the Cuban scholarship program. The Cuban government, in collaboration with the Venezuelan government, sent an aircraft to Barbados and many of the Caribbean states. They collect the patients, they took them to Cuba, they house them for 2 weeks, and they carry out the eye care program with operations and treatment so that those people can return to the Caribbean, and then so that they can also see.
And I want to speak specifically to the grassroots people, to those people who know what it is to live on or below the poverty line, those people who know how to survive from day to day without basic necessities. This is what the people of Cuba are facing. Their hardship is our hardship. We are one family in one house, just different compartments. And we need to make sure that we look out for our brothers and sisters. We need to be each other's keeper.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, is defending the continued state of emergency, saying that while murders are down significantly, the fight against crime continues. Her comments came while speaking to reporters after Eid celebrations on the weekend.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar is standing firm on government's decision to implement another state of emergency, insisting that recent reductions in violent crime is encouraging, but the gains are not yet sufficient to justify easing security measures. Speaking to the media after Eid al-Fitr celebrations in Charleville on Saturday morning, she said government remains committed to its crime-fighting strategy, which she noted has already produced measurable results.
We continue to fight against crime. We have several initiatives. Some have already borne fruit. We have seen crime at the lowest it has been in many, many years. The murders have been down by 42%. Let's not forget that. And we'll continue.
Mrs. Persad-Bissessar acknowledged public criticism over the SOE, but said government's goal is a deeper and more sustainable reduction in crime.
People are saying, why another SOE? Because only 42% down. We need to bring it down by the largest number. So 100 minus 42 is what, 58% more that we have to work to bring down. We continue to work on that. Safety and security remains very high on our priority.
The Prime Minister also addressed the removal of the radar in Tobago, confirming that Trinidad and Tobago continues to work closely with the United States on security matters.
We continue to engage the U.S. authorities in many fields. Maybe on another day we can share some further initiatives. With respect to the radar, we were lucky to have it the time we have it. They need it for their own use. As you know, they're on another front and they probably need it for that purpose. But it did serve us well and we thank them very much for it.
Mrs. Prasad Bissessa was speaking to reporters after celebrating Eid with the Muslim community at the Markaz Al-Ashja Jamaat in Charleville on Saturday morning. Sonolala, TTT News.
In sports, we're on the tracks with athletics. Action gets underway tomorrow at the 2026 Issa Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships, with fans set for 5 days of high-energy competition. On the boys' side, all eyes will be on what's shaping up to be a fierce battle for top honors between 36-time champions Kingston College and defending champions, and 21-time winners Jamaica College. Kingston College will be aiming for a 5th consecutive title after a dominant performance last year, where they held off challenges from Calabar and Jamaica College to secure their 4th straight win. But this year's contest could get much tighter. Jamaica College, who finished 3rd last season, have shown significant improvement. Meanwhile, Calabar High, who were runners-up last year, may find it difficult to get one better after losing several key athletes ahead of the championships. The annual championships will take place from March 24 to 28 at the National Stadium and will see over 100 schools and more than 2,000 athletes competing. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. And remember, we are the People's Station.